Just beat us. Be good as new.
Yeah, damn it.
Oh, that's funny.
I'll shut up.
Oh,
Thanks, Kyle didn't give me enough time on it.
So it says 6:29 on mine.
How you doing, Julie? Good, how are you?
how's that puppy?
Good. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Call to order the regular meeting of the Rio Dell City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Garnes?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Here.
Councilmember Carter? Here. Councilmember Wilson?
Here.
Councilmember Woodall? Here. City Manager Knopf?
Here.
Chief of Police Connor?
Here.
Finance Director Dillingham? Community Development Director Caldwell? Water Superintendent Jensen? Wastewater Superintendent Taylor?
Here.
Management Analyst Sanborn? And Mary Clark. Here.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public presentation. This is the time for persons who wish to address the council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the council has jurisdiction. As such, a dialogue with the council or staff is not allowed under the Ralph N. Brown Act. Items requiring council actions not listed on this agenda may be placed on the next regular agenda for consideration if the council directs, unless a finding is made by at least 2/3 of the council that the item came up after the agenda was posted and is of an urgency nature requiring immediate action. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Supervisor Bush.
I talk all day.
Okay. Well, also, are there any hands raised or emails?
There were no emails.
No hands raised? Then I will close public presentations and move to the consent calendar. Is there anyone who would like to remove an item from the consent calendar?
Item number 4.
What else? Any hands raised or emails to remove an item? Then I will ask a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 of the consent calendar.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay. Are you in?
I'm in.
Okay. Motion carries 5-0. Councilmember Wilson.
Yeah, so item number 4 is the, for the abatement on this address. Page
22.
22, this way. Is there a landowner that is sitting under, is there a landowner that gets credit for this piece of property?
Property belongs to Stuart Cox.
Do?
Stuart Cox.
Stuart Cox, I just would like to have that noted publicly for the record. And it's just a comment that it's a shame that the city has to go through this process. This is the second time it's done it. If I read this right. And we made no effort to pay the first abatement
For Mr. Cox.
on this.
This is the first abatement on the property at 833. State County.
Well, it said that they had made no effort to,
So they made no effort to pay the cost of the abatement that was done. So when they don't pay for the abatement, then we go through the process to put a lien on the property. And this is the first step in that process.
okay. That's the clarification. So anyway, that's all I have. They acknowledge publicly that responsibility.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a question regarding that issue? Then is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept.
We have a motion to accept item 4 of the consent calendar. Is there a second? Second. Motion carries 5-0. Reports of staff communication, city manager, page 34 in our package.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So regarding the website, staff did meet with a vendor today to discuss some additional add-ons to the website, including some changes to the agenda management system that should be a little bit more user-friendly, and also allow anyone who wishes to move to a paperless agenda format. So kind of excited about that, and looking at continuing to work on updating the website. I will say that the current website is a little bit more functional than it was last week. And so a lot of the information and again, the bill pay system and whatnot are back active on the website. Street sweeping was conducted back on for this last Friday, July 15th. The original date for the 8th had to be scrubbed due to a technical issue with the equipment. For those who are curious, down at the city parking lot, the George Bertain sign has been missing for several months. It's actually been taken down for rehab. It should be completed according to the folks of the Blue Ox sometime this week. And the city will also be participating in the 2022 Humboldt County Trails Summit to provide information about the Eel River Trail funded through Clean California, the governor's new program. The event is on Saturday, September 24th from 9 a.m. to noon at the Sequoia Conference Center. If any of the council members would like to volunteer at the event, will let us know and we will help arrange that. With that, I will go ahead and return to the mayor and see if there's any questions or comments.
Thank you, city manager. Mayor Pro Tem Jackson?
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. Is there a date for the slurry seal project?
My understanding is the dates are always a little bit fluid on these types of projects, but it would be done in September. We will be last on the list, so they're going to be hitting up the Arcata area and University first, and then working their way south into Fortuna and Rio Dell last, which actually works out best for us. So,
Thank you. That's my only question.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
No, I was just gonna say that I'm glad the sign is gonna be placed, because I had recently asked about it, so this is good, good thing, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter?
No questions, but I want to go to the Trail Summit. Put my name on that list. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
Yeah, I just have one question on the webpage. So when you say paperless agenda, the people will be, is that like if they sign up, they will send agendas?
yeah, you should be able to have a little bit more of a functional document. When you look at the full document, you should be able to use the agenda front pages to then navigate directly to the documents, to the agenda items themselves in the package. Thanks.
Do you have a question? No. Okay, are there any hands raised or emails? Thank you. We will then move on to special call items. Public hearing approved findings and order confirming accounts and assessments for the abatement of 66 Davis Street, page 40 in our packets.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This is a public hearing to establish cost recovery for the abatement that was done at 66 Davis Street. Our recommendation is that you open the public hearing, receive any testimony that's available, close the public meeting, discuss the matter, and approve the findings in order confirming the accounts with assessment for the abatement of 66 Davis Street. And CSO Mary Clark is here to provide oral testimony on the abatement.
Thank you. Do you want to speak or do you want to question that?
We'll go with questions first.
Okay. Councilmember Woodall?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
No question.
Councilmember Carter?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No question.
And no questions. So. Oh, well, I actually have a question, just to make sure. So this is considered the hearing and the meeting?
This is the second step, so after this is approved, then the other thing can be placed on the public.
Are there any hands raised? Any emails? No questions? And I will call for a motion to approve the findings in order confirming accounts and assessment for the abatement of 66 Davis Street.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Motion carries 5-0. Public hearing, approve the findings and order confirming accounts and assessment for the abatement of 521st Avenue, page 43 in our packets.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This is a public hearing to establish the cost recovery for the abatement that was done at 521st Avenue. Our recommendation is that you open the public hearing, receive any testimony or evidence concerning the cost of the cost recovery or the cost of the abatement. Close the public meeting, discuss the matter necessary, and approve the findings in order confirming the council assessment for the abatement of 521st Avenue. And once again, CSO Mary Clark is here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
We have, I have no question.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Councilmember Woodall?
No questions.
Thank you. Hands raised, emails, questions? We're all good? Okay. Then I'm asking for a motion to approve the findings in order confirming accounts and assessments for the abatement of 521st Avenue.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to ordinances and special resolutions. Introduction and first reading by title only of ordinance 395-2022, organic reduction and recycling, page 50 in our package. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes and members of the council. So this item, you'll receive a short presentation from staff. We'll open the public hearing, take any questions, provide any comments to staff, and then continue this reading of the ordinance to August 16th, your meeting of August 16th, 2022 for the formal presentation and adoption of the ordinance. So there is no action, consequential action from this particular agenda item. Ordinance number 395-2022 is related to Senate Bill 1383, which was signed by Governor Brown on September 19th, 2016, with the final regulation text adopted by CalRecycle in November of 2020. Jurisdictions are required to begin implementing SB 1383 this year. So the legislation targets statewide emissions reductions for industry sources of essentially methane, fluorinated gases, and other climate-related contaminants. So methane being the primary one, methane has been identified by the state as a major contributor to climate change, and therefore the state has targeted SB 1383 as a method to help reduce those impacts, certainly by diverting additional material out of the landfills, similar to recycling of glass, metal, aluminum. You're also freeing up landfill space, so accomplishing another objective of the state. So the Humboldt County Solid Waste Local Task Force is comprised of representatives from all of the cities in the county. with administrative support provided by Humboldt Waste Management Authority. The local task force, in conjunction with HWMA, has retained a consultant to develop a regional 1383 action plan for all of its municipal jurisdictions, including Rio Dell. So HWMA contracted with Edgar & Associates back in December 21 to provide consulting services to coordinate on the overall SB 1383 issues. So the city of Rio Dell is eligible for a waiver from some of the main tenets of SB 1383. Last year, the city filed for a waiver and received a waiver. An approved waiver is for the collection related activities and does not waive a jurisdiction from other obligations to comply with SB 1383. So, for example, the city, even though we do have a waiver from the main collection requirements, we do not have, for collection and processing, we do not have waivers for some of the other program requirements, including education and outreach being the primary one, as well as some edible food recovery items in the legislation. So the attached ordinance itself is also a requirement of SB 1383 and has been modified from the state's model ordinance to account for Rio Dell's waived requirements. So a very similar ordinance has been recently adopted in the city of Ferndale. So why do we need to do this? SB 1383 is state law, and the city of Rio Dell, as a political subdivision of the state of California, is required to also enforce it, enforce these rules and regulations insofar as they apply to us. If we do not comply with SB 1383, the city is potentially exposed to fines down the road that could be quite substantial. So we're responsible for implementing SB 1383 here in Rio Dell. Part of what the Solid Waste Local Task Force has done is to really recognize that there needs to be a regional approach, coordinated effort to meet all of the requirements of this organics waste system, including disposal options, which currently there are no options available in Humboldt County. So again, we are required to do this. There are penalties for non-compliance, and we want to avoid those because that just ultimately leads to higher costs in solid waste bills. The good news is that Rio Dell has the waiver for now, so we are exempt from certain collection and processing requirements, and that's really the cornerstone. That's the bulk of the requirement. So that includes route surveys and a 3-container collection system, essentially, across the board through the community. Other good news, Rio Dell is already a member of Humboldt Waste Management Authority. We are a founding member of Humboldt Waste Management Authority. We have active partnerships with all of our fellow agencies within HWMA. So we're able to leverage some of the leadership in this issue shown by Eureka and Arcata that comes and benefits the city. The other nice thing is that Rio Dell lacks major organic food waste generators. So while there are certain requirements in terms of edible food recovery, the city does not have, as far as staff can determine, any tier 1 creators of organic waste. There is the school, which is a tier 2 producer, but that regulation falls under the state specifically. So it's a state facility. So the good news is that there is not a whole lot to enforce here. our main producers and generators of organic waste continue to be residential uses, and our requirement currently under the law is to essentially provide education to all of the generator businesses, and our obligation is to also coordinate with our regional partners, the county, and the other 6 cities to help address some of the long-term obstacles to creating a organics waste processing system, ideally here in Humboldt County, because it costs a lot of money to truck that sort of waste out of Humboldt County. So, so with that, that's just the basic overview of it, and happy to take any questions, and we'll try to provide additional answers at the meeting on August 22nd.
16.
Or 16th, excuse me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Carter?
Thank you. First, just a comment. I do think education and outreach on this should start right away. People don't know what this is. Even my friends in bigger cities in California, I ask them, oh, they say, what are you talking? Nobody knows what this is. So I do think that's of some importance. Next, page 52 of our packets, page 2 of this document, item D, mentions a specified threshold amount of solid waste recycling and organic waste per week for businesses, multifamily property. How is that decided? Well, and like, does that mean that every different household has a different amount of waste and that's somehow figured out in advance?
So I think that falls under the legislation. They set these
Okay.
targets, 50% reductions, and
Right.
ultimately up to 75%. So it's similar to recycling, where we're expected to meet diversion targets out of the waste stream to landfills.
Out of the city though, like this isn't our job to go door to door and ask everybody how much trash they produce and how much.
No,
Okay.
you know, ultimately, the targets are going to be major organic waste producers. So right now, so for example, I think the closest that we really get to that is CC Market. However, the regulations state that the facility has to be 10,000 square feet or larger. It's less than that. So we don't have to go in and do the enforcement on the individual businesses.
Next and last question is page 71 of our packets, page 21 of this document. The model water efficiency landscaping ordinance requirements. Is mulching and using compost that I generate in my house, like that needs to go in my garden?
Yeah, so part of this is also because the state is now going with these regulations, they're creating a new product, essentially. It
Right.
needs on the back end consumers. And so the part of the idea is that there be requirements regarding new landscape installations.
New landscape, okay. I have a million other nitpicky questions that I can start seeing them later, because, yeah, anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
No question.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
No questions. Mine were answered by the city manager.
Thank you. And Councilmember Wilson?
I'll take this opportunity rather than do it at the end of the council reports. This is a big thing with HWMA's radar deal. We had our normal meeting last Thursday, which in turn evolved into having a special meeting yesterday, because they're going to close the Eureka Recycling Center on Hawthorne Street, where people bring in their recycling stuff like refrigerated mattresses. They bring in just other recycling materials they can take to there. And that is slated to take place, that they're going to close it on the 1st of August in order to take that facility, which is, I think, in the range of 20,000 square feet, and turn it into a pre-sort area for the 1383. And no, they don't have a place to really take it. They're gonna have to get bids to have it hauled out of the area until they find a place within the county to use it themselves. And they believe, they employed, as city manager mentioned, is Edgar and Associates is a consulting firm that's here that works specifically with this. And they're trying to get this thing rolling in small steps, so we're not waiting till the last minute. HWMA has to be active in this in January 2023. The reason for the special meeting was we were told on Thursday that Recology won't be able to get the trucks that they need to gather up this waste for 2 years because there's just a lag time. They come and told us similarly that to do universal collection is going to take 18 months to 2 years to get these trucks. So that pushes us up to 2024, 25. And as manager said, the jurisdictions are responsible individually. It isn't just the county. We're responsible. Those fines that he talks about could be in the nature of $10,000 a day if you don't make an effort. Now we're showing an effort. I know by what Kyle was talking about, what the HWMA is doing as a county, because we're doing everything within our power to try to make this happen. One of the goals and discussions is that there's the aquatic farms go in out here in Samoa with this big fish farm, which is huge. It'll consume, I believe, 25% of the power, the additional power that Humboldt County uses. This is power that's 150 jobs potentially. And they also generate this waste that can be tied into, there's some people down in Ferndale wanting to create this compost that they could use and commercially as well. And so there's the ideal goal is to keep it in the county, but that also takes a site to process. So there's lots of stuff going on, and it's finally got some movement. I think city manager presented more in his presentation than I've gotten a lot of times out of going to HWMA and sitting through some really poor presentations about what this thing is doing and what to do. But it's a very serious thing. It also costs HWMA probably since they have no recycling center, they gotta go find another recycling center to take their stuff to for the people that don't like. We're golden because we've got a recycling ecology of 10 miles. So if we want to get rid of an old refrigerator, an old mattress, an old tire, we can go run it up to. They're not have to take it to Eureka. People in Eureka, Kendallville, Arcata, they don't have that luxury of having a good place to take it. And so all this stuff's a work in progress, and I commend the city and the fact that you're part of this board and you're taking the steps to show that we're doing diligence to be good. We got to find a way with it. We still will ultimately, probably in universal collection, there'll probably be a bin sort of way to you go out and put your stuff in that bin along with your recycling waste or your so it's not either solid waste. And this just sounds like a nightmare. Now they're proposing you're going to put it in a plastic bag and throw it in the green waste bin. Then they're going to take that green waste bin, they're going to dump that in. All that stuff in the truck. The truck's going to take it down to HWMA property and they're going to throw it down on the ground. And one person was there for a director. Said he had applied to be the executive director prior to the gentleman that's there. He literally went out and hit waiters, and because you're getting this food coming in, it's got paper products in it, and it's got forks and plastic utensils in it, and it's probably got batteries there. Who knows what people will throw into it? That's where education comes in. Is that you got to get this straight, and despite the opponent of the major requirement of cities and jurisdictions to do this, we're still facing, you watch the news tonight, there's a heat wave going across the world right now that's not typical. It's doing things, Britain's setting new temperatures. This is crazy. The lake meat is just not non-existent. What they find is stuff, they find bodies, barrels that were dumped there decades ago. Put it second barrels and so forth. And but if there's all these lakes are just evaporate or really probably shut that this year. If you go up on Planet, salmon fisheries are just about non-existent, being able to rehabilitate. So the stuff that if we can fix it, we need to be starting to do stuff, and that affects everybody individually. Whether if you buy an old if you buy a new TV, you got to get rid of the old one. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with the old refrigerator? If you're gonna buy something new, you can't, you gotta be responsible how you get rid of it. And this organic thing, the food waste, methane is, they tell us, is 84 times as potent as CO2. So when you put organic waste into a landfill and it turns into methane, you have a huge methane greenhouse gas effect compared to just throwing branches in there. So anyway, I've spoken up, but this is going on with HWMA, and this is going on with our cities. Yeah, major leagues of Arcadia, they don't get a 5-year waiver. They've been working on it for several years. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for that update of HWMA too. That's your closing, that's really kind of serious for that.
Well, they're not closing, but they're closing up the recycling, and they're trying to find another place to take it, which could cost minutes. It will cost.
And Santa Cruz County, which I was some time ago, recently though, but in Sacramento County, you see these trucks, big trucks with all these little bins on the back, it's plastic, well, I don't know, they look plastic, on the back that are now going to be kitchen countertop organic waste recyclers. I mean, and they're passing them out to the residents, and I mean, the truck's just loaded with them, just stack upon stack. And that's one of the ways that they're dealing with the residences in bigger cities in the moment. So do we need a motion to continue the reading?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the first reading and continue to the second reading to August 16th for ordinance number 395-2022?
So moved.
I'm sorry. Are there any hands raised or emails, questions? Okay, now.
I made that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. And now we will move on to council reports and communications. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, you're not being recorded, huh?
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall.
I just wanted to thank the Public Works Department. They kept our gateway and Main Street looking very nice. They really kept that up. And then I just wanted to mention that the Kiwanis Club has put over at Dollar General a little
The library.
I saw a free library for them, and that's very nice. It's nice that Dollar General let them do that on their property, because it's less likely to get. And then the other thing was the mural up on one facing Main Street. They're both nice, but the one facing Main Street, I wanted to say that they have Jack Thompson as one of them, and he was very recognizable. And it's so nice that they put him on it, because he has done so much for the city over the years, for a long time right here. I mean, even when he wasn't an elected official, he did a lot. So it was nice to see that he was up there. And nuisance abatement meeting tomorrow at 3:00.
Thank you.
And that's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter.
The nuisance meeting tomorrow at 3, if anybody's listening. wants to come in, we'll be here. Lastly, I wanted to thank Councilmember Woodall because these flowers along Main Street look really, really nice. And I have seen you out there on some of these hot days, watering and just painstakingly taking care of them. It really elevates the city's look.
It really does.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, that's it for
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, and I went to a seismic commission meeting in Sacramento and I met Mark Ghilarducci. And he's the director of Office of Emergency Services. And he was very, very happy that someone from Rio Dell was on the seismic commission. He was very happy that Rio Dell was being out there representing. As he said, he and his family have great ties to this, to Rio Dell. So anyway, I just thought I'd pass that on. And that is it for me. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
second.
Meeting adjourned until Tuesday, August 2nd.
We have to vote on that.
Easy.
Oh,